Well, hello and welcome to I Love Gay today. And we are going all the way back down to Florida, to Tampa, Florida to be exact. And we're here with Ashley Brundage. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I haven't seen you since the NGLCC conference that we had there in Tampa.
I know it was like the last one that we did in person, but
Oh,
now we are ready to rock and roll to be virtual or hybrid or whatever. We're ready for what's next, right?
we are making our way. And, but no, we were talking. You do so much, but your whole history and like when you're there at conferences and you attend NGLCC out and equal, you really focus a lot on really telling that transgender story of diversity and inclusion in especially workplace. But yeah, just tell us a little bit about kind of all that.
Yeah, I tell you, I actually became a diversity and inclusion educator by accident. I started showing up for job interviews back in 2010, and I started to realize how much discrimination I was facing about being an out transgender woman. And depending on where you live, you may face even more discrimination. Um, and it was like bone crushingly hard with some of the things that people would say, like, I would never hire anyone like you have the wrong address, please leave. I had the cops called on me. It was really emotional. And and, and it it was that moment when I said, I guess maybe I need to educate others, and maybe I need to be a diversity and inclusion educator. And I became that educator. And that was what led me to having stronger bonds and longer conversations with HR leaders.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, inclusion is that secret recipe in creating an environment where people want to be around you longer.
Yeah. And you've developed an entire business model around this called Empowering Differences.
Yes. And honestly, really, just all of these key empowering actions like education and inclusion are just some of the 10 empowering actions that my business focuses on
Yeah.
around education, empowerment, and leadership development. All of those things are geared in and captured in my new book that's coming out, which is kind
Yeah.
of exciting.
Yes. Well, tell us about that. I'm going to make sure too that we have a link to it. But yes, I want to see. You just happen to
It's
have it
like I
handy.
have props. um, but yes, it took a lot to write a book, especially during the global pandemic. But this was something that I had been working on for several years, and um, just in capturing everything that happened to me and how we can utilize our diversity as our biggest strength is really the premise on this book. Empowering differences, regardless, is not this is not necessarily a story just about being trans. You could be gay, you could be straight, you could be anything. How can you strategically use this information to grow yourself, your business, your career, your city, your community? Everything is about empowering differences.
Yeah. Well, you started once upon a time as a bank teller and quickly moved on up.
Yeah, so when I fought through that discrimination as a part-time I found a job as a part-time bank teller, and in less than 5 years, I grew my career development using those strategies
Yeah.
to be the VP of diversity and inclusion for a major financial services organization,
Wow.
and running a program that impacts more than 50,000 employees. Was all done through my strategic engagement of those 10 empowering actions that you'll have to get my book to be able to see them all.
Oh yeah, we'll make it easy. We'll make it easy for them. And but you do a lot of things outside of all that. I mean, you're on the board of GLAAD and others. Yes.
Yes, yeah. So my work with GLAAD, I got more props, right? This is our annual report. We made a huge impact in 2019.
Yeah.
We trained more than 10,000 storytellers through the GLAAD Media Institute in our work there. So impactful. But then I'm also the global co-chair of our trans inclusion and gender nonconforming inclusion task force, where we're economically empowering trans and gender nonconforming entrepreneurs to see that as an opportunity to grow themselves professionally by growing their business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oftentimes employers might not want to employ people who are gay or who are trans, but they can start their own business. And like you have, Matt, and running an amazing company that amplifies others' voices. there could be a job for you. It could be your own company, right?
Yeah, that's very true.
And well, statistics matter, right? And data matters. So in the last year and a half, through our task force with the NGLCC, we've actually grown trans entrepreneurship by more than 400%.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And you're there in Tampa, where, I mean, just last week we interviewed the mayor, and as you and I were saying beforehand, but you were like, wait a second, she took my crown.
I was like, I ran the LGBT chamber, and then I gave that up, and then I was like the local a big local advocated champion, and often, and like some of my friends jokingly called me the gay mayor of Tampa because I was in the top 100 most powerful people in business by the Business Journal, and then we elected Jane, and I was so excited when we elected Jane. I was out campaigning and advocating for her to get elected. And then now we actually have a gay mayor. I was like, hey, hold on.
Be careful what you wish for. Sometimes it comes true.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot. It's interesting. Being in Florida just last week, I'm amazed though. I even learned that there's in Tampa specifically, there's a transgender film festival now there as well.
Yes.
You guys have like a
Launches
lot going on.
today.
Is it today? Okay.
And it's accessible for anyone, regardless of where you're watching. You can sign up for free. Due to generous sponsors, it is free.
Yes.
And we've had a lot of really great advocacy organizations in the trans space. I was one of the board members for Transaction Florida when we voted to go into a part of merge with Equality Florida. Yeah. And now because of that work, they were able to hire Gina Duncan as the state trans inclusion director. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of work, and the Tampa Bay area really is inclusive in nature. Obviously, we have a LGBT mayor, but even in St. Pete, Mayor Kreisman has been a member of the LGBT chamber he was a member for 30 years of the LGBT Chamber of Commerce. You want to talk about not pandering, like making it a commitment for his law firm. He was a member, and obviously he's not doing that, but he's the mayor, right? That's his job.
There's some amazing things. A lot of amazing things going on where you're at, and also even in our world. I'm very hopeful. I mean, yes, we have these shows to kind of keep us connected in the meantime, but I'm looking forward to being able to see you in 2021, hopefully at the NGLCC conference that we get to attend.
And Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yes, in Fort Lauderdale. And I'm going to plan to. Let's plan to bug in their ear. Let's see if they'll allow us to do this show live at NGLCC, so we can do these kind of interviews with the convention in the background.
That would be amazing. Amazing. But I can tell you, I can give you a little hint that we are definitely going to be doing a hybrid for GLAAD Media Awards in 2021 for GLAAD. Yeah. I can't give you any specifics, but I can tease you a little bit to know that we do have some dates in April and in June for New York and LA, and we will be doing the GLAAD Media Awards. There will be a limited capacity, and it's going to be a hybrid event for 2021. We're very excited about that.
Wow, we should talk.
Yeah.
No, this is fantastic, and I'm just really appreciative you were able to take a few moments to share your story with our audience, and I wish you great success with this book and this, how it ties into your career, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everything that you're doing to connect with the communities and tie us all together right now.
Well, thank you so much. All right. Take care now.
And it feels good, so good, coming back again.